Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy.
It was LSU versus Texas A&M. The Tigers get the win, 42-30 over the Texas A&M Aggies. Now, final score-wise, you'll look at this game and say, okay, this went about how I thought it would. I thought the LSU defense struggled a little bit more than expected, but with this defense, really nothing is surprising. Again, the Tigers get a 12-point victory, but a little bit of credit to Texas A&M. Never thought those words would come out of my mouth, but they played the exact type of game they needed to in order to win this football game. They had ball control offense. LSU only ran 23 plays total in the first half of this football game, and at halftime, the Aggies had a time of possession advantage of 19 and a half minutes to around 10 minutes or so. I mean, that's 2-1. And then after the third quarter, it was about 30 minutes to 15 minutes. It was really that fourth quarter for LSU where the athletes showed up, where Jaden Daniels may have had his Heisman moment. We'll get into that a little bit later. But like I mentioned, Aggies had a ball control approach. Jalen Henderson, their third-string quarterback, I thought played pretty well. I mean, he went 25 of 35, over 200 yards passing, had a couple touchdown passes, but the Aggies' first drive, 17 plays, 67 yards. I am not sure how that is possible on a scoring drive. That's less than 4 yards per play. It's 3.9 yards per play. So again, I thought the defense struggled the first 2.5 quarters against Jalen Henderson. They were actually down 24-14 at one point. The turning point of this ball game for me, it was the Greg Penn interception. It was 24-14 at that point. It's middle of the third quarter. After that, the entire tone of this game changed. And, you know, Greg Penn's a guy that had been mentioned on the broadcast in that game, but for a lot of the wrong reasons. I thought he had a really tough game before that. But look, it only takes one big play to kind of change things for you. And look, you look at his final stat line, and Jaden Daniels goes 16 of 24. But I thought he was pretty pedestrian in the first half. I mean, you know, missed some throws early that we saw him hit earlier in the season. First quarter, first 2 touchdown drives for LSU, they were Josh Williams touchdown, Logan Diggs touchdown. So you're like, okay, is Jaden losing his grip on that Heisman Trophy race? That wasn't the case. The fourth quarter happened. He finishes 16 of 24, 235 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, also 11 carries for 120 yards, and it was that big 4th and 4. It was in the third quarter. You had to go for it. You knew you couldn't stop Texas A&M. What does Daniels do on 4th and 4? He drops back, and like so many times this season, nothing was open. He takes off, and he gets about 51 yards on that play. So Jaden did exactly what we thought he was going to do. Malik Neighbors continues to be that dude. He's the best wide receiver in the country for my money. He should win the Biletnikoff Award. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show because I have some real problems with some of these trophy votings. Look, he finished with 6 receptions, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got the game ball. He set the record for most career receptions by an LSU receiver. He's only about 22, 23 yards away from the career receiving yards record. He says he wants to play in the bowl game. We'll see what happens when that time comes around. You know, kind of a pleasant surprise for me in this game. It was LSU's ability to control the line of scrimmage. I thought they did a good job on really both lines of scrimmage. They stuffed A&M in the run game. Now, A&M had 96 yards rushing, but it was on 41 carries. They only had about 2.5 yards per carry. LSU, on the other hand, they averaged 5.5 yards per carry. And while you didn't have to rely on the running backs, I thought when you gave it to them, they were very efficient. It was the 3rd and 4 on your own 35, 36-yard line again in the third quarter, and it was a first down you had to pick up. What does Mike Denbrock do? He sends Malik Neighbors in motion. You hadn't relied on your running backs all game long, and you fake it to Malik on the jet sweep. You hand it to Logan Diggs up the middle. He picked up about 5 or 6 yards. I thought that was one of the best play calls of the entire game. I mentioned Jalen Henderson, the Texas A&M quarterback. He goes 25 of 35, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have that crucial interception to Greg Penn. But overall, I liked how LSU finished. did not like how they started. I thought that, when A&M went up 24-14 in the third quarter, I was like, LSU's really going to be in trouble. Because since A&M joined the SEC back in 2011, 2012, whenever it was, you beat that team 7 years in a row. A&M won 3 of the last 5 going into Saturday. If you would have lost that again, you would have been heavy favorites against A&M 2 years in a row, lost to them 2 years in a row, and then that would have given them a 4 out of the last 6 win advantage. That would have been an unacceptable loss. This loss last year was unacceptable for Brian Kelly, for the entire LSU team. I thought this was another one. I thought they were able to do what they could not do a year ago. That was pick it up, come from behind, make just enough plays on defense to win this game. I was very pleased with it. And, some kind of off-the-field notes that happened in this game. 2 players entered the transfer portal after this game. Max Johnson, we're all familiar with him here in Baton Rouge, the former LSU Tigers starting quarterback. I guess now formally with A&M as well. He announced he is going to enter the transfer portal. He's a grad student. He will be immediately eligible. No word yet on if Jake Johnson's following him. Not sure what's going on there. It'll be his 3rd school of his college career. But to keep it local in the LSU terms of things, Armani Goodwin, LSU running back, he announced that he's going to enter the transfer portal. He's a guy that came in with a Corey Kiner who is also since transferred as well. And you saw the explosiveness with an Armani Goodwin. You saw flashes. I remember they gave him number 22 and you were throwing the ball to him out of the backfield and everybody was like, hey, this guy, he could be the next Clyde Edwards-Helaire type of back, the small, shifty guy. Thought he was a lot faster than Clyde. He was that 100-meter champion in Alabama coming out of high school. He's a guy that when he was on the field, he made plays, whether it was in the running game. I just mentioned his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. What really messed with Armani Goodwin was his inability to stay on the field. This is a guy who seemed like every time he touched the ball, he was injured. And, that's not ideal. What do they always say? The best ability is availability. No word yet on where he will transfer, but he will finish his college career elsewhere. Kind of back to LSU as a whole. Look, we just talked about it. They beat Texas A&M. They finished 9-3 on the year, have a chance for 10 wins with the bowl game. Now, we await the bowl destination, but today a lot of action came out about where LSU is going to play in that bowl game. The overwhelming majority of people believe it's going to be in the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa, Florida. That's the Monday, January 1 bowl game. It's the former Outback Bowl for any of you that are wondering. It's a bowl game that LSU has been to quite a few times. So that kind of seems like the consensus of where LSU is going to go. Now, as far as who their opponents are going to be, 3 different options, but overwhelming favorite right now is Brian Kelly's old team, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Mark Schlabach says Notre Dame. Brian Fisher of Fox Sports says Notre Dame. And Steven Lasson from Athlon Sports also put his pick in for Notre Dame. For what it's worth, Jerry Palm from CBS and Kyle Bonagura from ESPN, they say that Palm has LSU playing NC State. Bonagura has LSU playing Wisconsin. So we'll see what happens there. As an LSU fan and a fan of Brian Kelly, you got to want to play Notre Dame. Not only because the last few times you played him in a bowl game, it hasn't gone your way. You've lost to him, including in 2017, Ed Orgeron's first full season as head coach. You lost that bowl game. It was in the Outback Bowl. It was kind of that rainy, cold game. You all remember it. It was the Connor Culp game where he missed all the field goals. He ultimately missed an extra point. You have that game won, but at the very end of the game, the Notre Dame wide receiver made a phenomenal play, broke about 6 tackles, scored a touchdown. That's the last time you've seen Notre Dame. And then, you take Notre Dame's coach from them. They think they have a good thing going with Marcus Freeman. I think that remains to be seen. But look, for Tiger fans everywhere, if you could play Notre Dame in a bowl game to get you to 10 wins, Brian Kelly gets revenge over his old team. Look, I know it's not the college football playoff. I know it's not a New Year's Six bowl. I think that a New Year's Day bowl game victory over Notre Dame to put you at 10 wins. I think most fans at the beginning of the year, if you'd have told them, hey, look, this is probably what's going to happen, there would have been a lot of disappointment, but for the most part, you would have taken that outcome. So we'll see where LSU winds up in that bowl game. But right now it's looking like the ReliaQuest Bowl, and you might play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.